to the Project WYLD podcast. I have got a very special guest today, which I'm really excited to ask some questions. I actually haven't heard the answers to these questions myself, but I have had the pleasure of coaching an incredible woman, and also very lucky of me, a friend of mine. Her name is Engela. She's joining us from Queensland, Port Douglas. She is a mother and a teacher, and she is also traveling Australia. So welcome, Engela.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Before we get started on anything to do with fitness or health, I'd love to let the audience know a little bit about yourself and what your family's lifestyle actually looks like.
Chaos. So I am from South Africa. I moved over here about 10 years ago, and we've got two beautiful girls, 5 and 1, who keep us on our toes. We just had really busy lives before travel times, and we've been wanting to travel for ages, and so we were like, let's just do it. No time will ever be right. So packed our van, and we've been on the road for over a year now. So very confined, lots of love, lots of chaos.
Lots of patience.
Lots of patience.
I'm sure everyone's wondering, I know I travel, and so a lot of my listeners and clients kind of know what my life looks like as a FIFO wife on the road. But you guys approach traveling in a different way again, as everyone does. So let me know a bit about what a day or a week kind of looks like in your travel life.
So when we originally started, we didn't start with a big amount of money. So we always knew we'd have to work on the road. We're traveling from the East Coast, from Newcastle. By the time we got to WA, I'd registered to be a teacher there as well. So you get mutual recognition in all the states. My husband's an engineer, so I've always been kind of the primary carer. But now he's looking after the girls during the day. So a week would look like typically probably 3 days of me working. So we'd get up nice and early, chaos in the morning, and then Jono and the girls would drop me off at work, and I'd work typically 7 till 2 as a relief teacher. And then they come and pick me up, and we do all the fun traveling stuff, afternoons, weekends. So we typically stay in an area for a week or two.
Good on you. And I think that's really great for people to hear, because before on the road, I think you could get quite comfortable in that lifestyle of Jono earning, you doing the typical staying at home with the kids and fitting that cookie cutout that everyone expects. But there's this little bit of you wanted something more, and you knew that wasn't quite your happiness at that point in time. Like there was something else you wanted, and you made it work. A lot of people get a bit worried about taking that step out and about stretching their comfort zone. And I think that's like kudos to you guys for figuring out a way to step outside of that and going against the grain. It's like, I think that it's amazing. You guys are doing it in a different way to us, which I think is just logistically everyone's life is different on the road, right? And you've got to look forwards and set that out, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's tough, but my God, it's paying off. A message for anyone out there is that if you want to make it happen, right?
Exactly. It'll never be the right time. You'll never have enough money. The kids will never be the right age. Like you just have to get in your caravan or your tent or whatever it is and just take the leap. Sometimes we questioned ourselves as well, like, should we just go back? Like you seek normalcy when you're in this life. When you're in a normal life, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. So your problems don't change. It's just your location changes.
Yes, exactly. Which is a breath of fresh air, isn't it? When you've got problems, it's like, at least we're in this amazing place.
Exactly.
All right. So moving on, if you can tie it together for us, what has motherhood and fitness journey looked like through all the stages since you had kids, or maybe even pre-kids, where have you always been with your health and fitness?
So I grew up in South Africa, which it's not a very outdoorsy lifestyle. You can't just go for a walk. You can't just, go to the park. So your exercise has to be quite intentional. You have to go to a gym. It's the only place you're able to exercise. And so exercise pre-Australia, pre-30s, I'd say, was just not really a thing for me. There were stages when I was studying where I gymed for like 8 weeks and I'm like, whatever. But never a conscious thing of like, hey, this is your health, this is your body, this is the rest of your life. And so I would go the other way and just go on like these really unhealthy crash course diets where you like starve yourself, go on shakes, and like it was very aesthetic for me versus health. My first baby came smack in COVID, like 2 weeks before she was born. It was like, all right, here's lockdown. which was interesting because after birth, we were kind of in the lockdown stage where you couldn't really go out either. We kind of just got into this bubble of really unhealthy, get takeaway foods. And so I'd never, ever thought about prioritizing health in my life. I had the baby and kind of bounced back relatively quickly, but then gained a bit of weight. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go on a crash course shake again. And so it was just that very unhealthy, like, pathways in my brain going, every time I hit a certain weight, I'd just be like, no, let's just smack it down with some like quick fix stuff. Fell pregnant about 3 years later. I got really bad prenatal depression. So pretty much with both my girls, I had HG, which is the vomiting thing, and you can't keep like anything down. Have to go to hospital, get the drips, get the fluids. And that was kind of my first thing where I was like, you go from fully functioning adult to like crippling depression, anxiety, lie in a black room all day. And I think the helplessness during all of that time was kind of something that later on helped me realize how important your health is. Yeah, so had Leia, and then amazingly, it was the depression slimmed right down, which was amazing. Then I started running, and I'd never run before, and I didn't have a coach. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out of the house. I'm going to run. I'm going to leave my girls with my husband, go for a run every day, half an hour for myself, which I ended up kind of hurting myself. And then I was like, okay, wait, hang on. Like, you've been doing this thing your whole life. You actually don't know what healthy looks like. I actually don't have a healthy relationship with food. I craved a lot of sugar for the dopamine highs and just really unhealthy, skip breakfast, so many unhealthy habits. And I think that's why when I heard about Reset, it was like, this is what I need, because it's a holistic thing. You're looking at your relationship with yourself, your body, your health, your nutrition. For the first time in my life, I thought, I'm actually nourishing my body. It's like anything, like a car or whatever. If you're putting the wrong things in, you're going to blow up the engine. I came to this thing where Aurora said to me, she said, Mom, look how big my thighs are. And I was like, not my 4-year-old. No, you are not saying that. This is how my life started. Always parents on diet. No. I don't want my kids to know the word diet. I don't want them to think they're fat, not good enough. They have to do these crash courses to aesthetically please themselves and other people. And I was like, no, I need to do something. I actually don't know what healthy looks like. I don't know what good nutrition looks like. And so this has been amazing because it looks at all of those aspects. There is no pressure to be perfect, which I put all the pressure on myself to be perfect, to do it exactly right. It was a real journey for me. But yeah.
I think a lot of women will be listening to this nodding along, because that script sounds exactly like a lot of mothers, you know, the whole, I mean, even COVID aside, the whole baby bubble thing where you're exhausted. A lot of people are ordering takeaway and they don't realize they're creating habits. It's just like you're coping at the time, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you're dealing with things with like postnatal depression and all those added things that isn't normally a part of you, it's all of a sudden like click your fingers and you're actually in different circumstances.
100%. It literally is like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have this slog of time, say the first, 2 or 3 months, where you don't move your body, or you're not as excited to do those things, or you're not, as excited about food, because if you can hear a baby crying in the background, you just all of a sudden you hate what you're doing. And before you know it, you are creating habits that are not serving you, and you are creating a negative mindset around looking after yourself.
100%. And that's the thing, you're so limited for time that even in that time where your baby's, sleeping every 2-3 hours, you put them down and there's 100 things running through your brain. And the thing that you put very last on your list is your health, your mental health, because everything else needs to get done. So it becomes so easy to just chuck it to the back.
Yep, 100%. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I think it is really important that a lot of women will be listening going, oh, me too. And also thinking, oh, maybe if other women are doing something about it, maybe I can face that mountain that looks so massive. Maybe I can start to take steps to walk up it. Because the hardest part is when you realize, and it's like, oh man, like I'm scared of facing that. Like I'm scared of facing that. And once you decide to do it and start taking those steps, it instantly becomes less scary. Doesn't mean it becomes any less difficult. There's still its challenges, but it becomes less scary.
100%. And I think that the final trigger for me was I thought to myself, this is the easiest it's ever going to be. The longer I let this just slip by, the harder it's going to become. I'm going to become older. My knees are going to become older. And so that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter how big or small you start.
I know a lot of women are worried that it means you're going to take away time or effort or energy that you could otherwise give to your family and your partner. How did you feel actually, doing that? How did that affect your relationship with your kids and your husband?
Yeah, so the first few exercises, you feel so guilty. And it's so interesting because you literally go to your partner, hey, is it all right if I do this? I'll do it when this one is sleeping, and I'll set up this one, and I'll do this, and I'll micromanage the whole situation for myself to take 20 minutes, which is absolutely ridiculous because, like, he loves that I take the time because not only mentally, physically, my energy increases when I actually exercise. It's such a good, not just example, like, it's just such a good atmosphere for the girls. Like, I always pop a bit of music on. We leave the caravan door open so they can be indoor or outdoor, but they're always outside. We all have our little gym mats now. Aurora's got the little weights that I started with, the little pink ones. Sometimes we'll exercise together. Sometimes the girls will just absolutely be everywhere and anywhere, and a workout takes twice as long. But then most of the time it's just so great because it's just such a lovely family thing. The girls are involved. On a quick side note, we went to the hospital the other day. Aurora had an ear infection and the doctor asked her to get on the scale. And she goes, I think I may have picked up a bit of muscle weight because I work out with my mum. And I was like, oh, my soul, you are so cute.
That is the best. That is the best.
She talks about protein and she talks about exercise, and she's literally telling everyone, look at my mum's muscles, and I'm like, yeah, look at my muscles. It's just become this whole thing because she's so proud, and just the whole family, like my husband absolutely loves it. Sometimes he'll just sit there and take photos of me. I'm like, get away, you creepo, like, don't do that. But yeah, it's all around just so good. And once you start getting into that, like, you feel less and less guilty, and it's actually so empowering taking that time for yourself. Like I said, this week alone, like I went hard on one exercise, but two of them I had to cut halfway through because it just wasn't working in the girls. And so you'll get those, unfortunately. But as a whole, it's become a lifestyle for all of us. And I'm so proud, so proud.
That's amazing. And I'm extremely proud of you to watch you go through this. And I just want what you are doing right now for every woman. Like, I just want every mother to be able to have the mindset shift that you have had. It is the most incredible thing to watch. So I think you are doing so amazing because, like you said, it's not like it hasn't come without its challenges. Like, you speak about it very highly, but there definitely are times where you're in the troughs and you don't want to keep going and that kind of thing. So, like, to be able to step through that, that's what the reset's about, is about having grace with yourself. If you've done half a workout, it's fine. Like, don't beat yourself up about it. You still get to it tomorrow and you still do the next one and you keep going, and it's fine. It's all about that. We're mothers now. Nothing is going to be perfect. You just got to accept it and do what you can do, because if you don't do what you can do, that's when you keep taking steps backwards. And like you said, getting any younger, it's going to get harder the older we get, and we are in a mini race to menopause, aren't we, to gain as much muscle mass we can get before that hits. I love that. So what have been your biggest challenges so far, and how do you deal with these? Like, what are your, because right now it sounds like you're very aware of, oh, hang on a second, this is just an old habit trying to take place. This is just an easier option, and I know, what's going to serve me. Obviously, being aware, I think, is such an empowering part of it, and that's part of
you are going to have your off days. Like, you are going to get your period, and you are going to feel snacky, but you need to have grace with yourself. My biggest challenge, absolutely, is those old things of, I need to be perfect. I need to do this exactly right. If I don't go over my calories today, that's a failure. If I'm not lifting heavier than I used to, that's a failure. It's just that absolute pressure of nailing it every time, all the time. And for me, especially, that bloody scale, man, I hate that thing so much. I wish I could burn it.
Burn it, sister.
I want to see results. And my whole life, I've done these ridiculous things, starved myself, had the shakes, like all of those things with very quick results. And so I'm like, well, I've been going at this for 8 weeks, so surely I should be 10 kilos lighter by now. And so over these weeks, I've absolutely learned to have grace with myself. This isn't a quick fix. I'm not trying to do something to look good by December. This is for my girls. This is for my husband. This is for myself. I want to be healthy. I want to be able to go on those gorge walks and not get my heart rate into 180, which, true story, this really has happened. Another way that I've started looking at nutrition is actually like a way to say thank you to my body, which is so weird, but I've never ever done that. I've never tried to nourish my body in a good way. I did a hectic workout this morning. It was the kettlebell 5, I think it's called, which is just the push presses, the squats and the burpees. And I was like, this will be easy. It's 5 rounds, 12 noon. No. And after that, I just made myself this beautiful breakfast. And I was like, holy dooly, I would never have been able to do 60 burpees, squat with the weight that I squatted. It is absolutely just amazing. And so to me, it's become just a beautiful thing to be able to nourish my body. I love giving that to my girls. And that's how I want the rest of my life to be. I want to be proud of myself. And I am. I'm so proud of myself. But that's the challenge. When I climb on that scale and it's not gone down, that is just an challenge. But I'm like, no, brain, you are not doing this to me. You're not sabotaging me. So, yeah.
That's it. Good on you. And I think your mindset shift has been what has helped you be so successful. You've very willingly stretched your comfort zone, stepped over that line, and not to say that it didn't come without any sort of fear or anything, but you've been courageous. You've kind of acted in the face of that and gone, I am going to be vulnerable here. I'm going to try new things. I am going to listen to my coach. I'm going to try and approach it in a different way, even though I've tried it a million ways before. And I just think, like, kudos to you, because that's bloody hard to try. Like that, trying new things is hard and scary. And I think you've just absolutely nailed it. So with the scales things, like, I think biggest message to put out to everyone listening right now, if you're someone as well that's used to those quick results because you've done those like huge cutting or like quite aggressive yo-yo dieting, is that when you're doing something progressive like Engela is doing now, when you are actually nourishing your body, when you are actually doing training that counts and you're only in a small deficit, your loss ideally is going to be very slow with fat, but you're also going to be hopefully gaining some muscle there. Yeah. And I think if you can remember that when you step on the scales, if you are checking into weight, which isn't necessary, but it is good every now and then to see what's going on. Just remember that there's more going on than just a number. You could be gaining muscle mass. And if you're lifting some weights and you're exercising more than before, I can pretty much 100% guarantee if you're eating the right food, that's what's going to be going on, which is like, yes, I've only lost 500 grams. That means I've probably gained muscle. So good.
And it is, because I look at photos and it is just astounding, the difference of muscles. And just there are these transverse, is it called transverse? The
yes.
exercise. Impossible for me in the beginning. I messaged him, I'm like, what the hell? Like my muscles actually cannot do these ones. And it's been so good because I've been doing 5 weeks of those, and the difference is just amazing. And my core has become so strong. And like I said, those burpees, I would never have been able to do 60 burpees. Like, genuinely, I hated those. And today it wasn't easy, trust me, but gosh, I was, just so proud of my body. And it's something you've previously said, choose 1 or 2 a week to go really, really hard and put your all in and go super heavy and strong and challenge yourself. But for the rest of those ones that you can't necessarily manage that, you are still exercising, you're still moving your body, you're still keeping yourself in the game. And that is just, it's so important.
But the transverse plane of movement, just so everyone who's listening knows what that is, it's kind of rotational movement and using your core. So, you may be bringing something up high and down low, but there's also an element of balance involved in that because you're moving in a way that's different. And I just feel that type of exercise for your core and for your entire body is very important once you've had babies and to establish a really good foundation before you move on. So a lot of people do find it really challenging, and you're kind of laughing at yourself like, this seems so simple. Why can't I do it?
Genuinely, I looked at it, I was like, yeah, easy. Nah, I lay down with that weight and I have to bring my legs back up. Nah, literally, they just go, bloop. They couldn't come back up.
You know what? Like you said, you trust the process and you continue to try, and here you are with the result of being able to execute everything, and you're able to push yourself now and move through those movements. Like, just keep doing it.
The other thing that you also said, which for some reason never clicked for me until you said it, is just eating as close to natural as what you can. And so now when we cook, like my husband made bolognese last night, and it was literally just like beef, a red pepper, tomatoes, like none of the other processed things. Like all of the goodies are in there. And so he just made this beautiful bolognese with like 5 ingredients and none of it processed. And so our cooking has become that as well, where we used to once a week buy like this store-made lasagna. We now make our own. And even my husband now talks about nourishing our bodies, which is amazing. I love that he uses those words as well. Yeah, so when we cook, it's close to natural, and it's not organic, which is where we'd like to be, but yeah, financially we're just not quite there. So the best we can do is natural, and that's awesome because it's 200% better than what we used to do. So
exactly, and I think that's another perfectionism thing, is people think that with nutrition, like as soon as you're like, right, I'm going to be healthy, it's like people are trying to do 100% of everything all at once, and it's like, ease yourself into it. Like you can't do that to yourself. That's terrible. We somehow think that with nutrition and fitness it's all or nothing, and I think nutrition, just the same as fitness, if you ease yourself into it, you're far more likely to stick to it. And that goes with your protein intake. Like I think we had that discussion of, you may have 140 gram a day or 120 gram a day protein goal. If you're only used to eating 50 grams a day, just increase that slowly over time, and it's not going to be so overwhelming than trying to do it from day dot. And like you said with the natural thing, isn't it silly? We complicate things. We don't even realize we've complicated it. And it's like, we can actually simplify this by just putting real things in, instead of like having to find this certain packet of this. And it's like, you can actually just put real stuff together and it tastes really good.
And that's the thing, the less sugar and like all of these different tastes to your body, like you get so used to it, and the less you eat, like your taste buds actually change. And then the taste of natural food is actually so yummy.
And then processed stuff actually is quite overwhelming, which helps to not go back to it, because the more you eat natural, the more used to it you get. And then every time you have processed, the more extreme it tastes. And that just means that every time you go back to it, it's fine. You will continue to get drive through, or you will continue to every now and then grab this from the supermarket or whatever. But each time will, deter you slightly, because if your main is your natural healthy stuff, and then eventually, I haven't gone through a drive-through in literally 2 years, whereas before I'd always go and get a sneaky KFC large chips.
Yeah.
Like that was my one thing I held on to, and now it's been like at least 2 years. So it does happen eventually, but don't beat yourself up when because it's psychological. It's in your brain. Let's just quickly touch on a couple of things specifically with the reset before we finish up. So first of all, you have taken on, there's a few aspects to the reset that we offer here at Project WYLD. There is obviously the workouts, then you've got your hike on the weekend, and then you've also got journal prompts that come to you twice a week. So you actually incorporated all of it and wholeheartedly stepped into it, and you took it all on and you did it to the best of your ability. It doesn't mean that it was all exactly on the days it was prescribed or anything, but you did it as best as it was facilitated. So how did you find combining everything together worked for you and your mindset?
I think that is the key thing to why it was so successful for me, is throwing myself into every aspect, because how holistic your body, your health, your mental lookout on this whole thing is. And like you might not nail the exercise or the nutrition, but then you've got time to reflect and there's a prompt and you go, hey, like this makes so much sense. This is the old neural pathways. This is the old me telling myself you're not good enough, you're failing. And so I feel like if I'd missed out on one, it would have been, for me, just another thing that I tried and probably didn't stick to, because the results weren't quick enough. Whereas those mental prompts was the thing that just clicked it all into place. So I would highly recommend it takes 10 minutes. And honestly, like if you can just string together 5 sentences, keep that pen flowing. And that's actually what I did. Like I'm back to pen and paper now, like the good old days. And it's so good because you literally, like, I'd give myself 10 minutes and I'd either sit on the beach, and the beautiful thing about traveling is having those opportunities. Even when I exercised under a baobab tree the other day. And it was so nice because every time I went down, I just looked at this like baobab fruit, and that's what kept me going. And I was like, this is amazing. But anyway, yeah, just sitting there for 10 minutes with your pen, looking at that tree, looking at that water, and just keeping it flowing. Like that is what I did. And it's amazing what actually comes out of you.
And then what about that hour hike or bike? You hiked, I believe?
Yeah. And yeah, just so good. Just putting your phone off and just being with yourself and nature. And I suppose it's kind of like that taste buds thing that we said, if you know, like pull back to natural, like you put your phone off and you walk in nature and you actually like hear the birds and you can hear the gravel creak under your feet. And yeah, it's just it's so elementary, you'd think, but it's so life-changing. It's, you know, like it's the 1 hour in the week that your partner or whoever can have your children, they know Saturday for 1 hour you're doing this. And so it's so guilt-free to be able to put your shoes on and walk away. Like you feel guilty as shit, don't get me wrong, when you do that and you walk away, but it's so good because you know you don't have to be back in an hour and you're like, everything off, here I go. And it's amazing. Your brain pops up with things. Miss Rachel to start with. And then 20 minutes in, I was like, holy shit, my brain is amazing. It's nursery rhymes that come into my brain for the first time.
Or stupid adverts or something like that. But once you filter through those,
Yes.
you know, our minds as mothers are so busy. There's constant noise, constant feedback. So if you want to clear some of that, you actually have to prioritize it, and you have to organize the kids to be looked after. Whether, like you said, if that's your partner, making sure like, right, you're going to be home at this time, cool, I'm going. And you actually learn to debunk that mum guilt, and you've got to retrain yourself that that's healthy, right? In our mind.
100%. Yeah. And it is, you feel guilty and you feel like you're asking for permission, which again, it isn't that, but that's what you feel like. And it's awful, that feeling. Now I feel so great. It's been 8 weeks of that, and now it's great. Like I feel so empowered and so, yeah, proud of myself.
I just think, isn't it funny? Because listening to you explain it just like that, I'm like, it is exactly like the nutrition thing. It's funny, you know, we're removing the phone, we're removing the stimulation, and we're just simplifying things to natural circumstances.
Yeah.
And how much better you feel. Like you're doing it with food, you're doing it with stimulation and your mind, you're doing it with exercise, you know, and removing those thoughts going on and going, let's just simplify this. Last question I'm going to ask you before our closing one is, what does your self-talk look like? Because I know, like we said, you still, even though you've come through and you've done everything, you've come through the other side, you're halfway through your 8-week cycle, you still have the hard times. You still have the hard days. I still have the hard days, and I'm years into my fitness journey. So what does your self-talk look like on the days where you want to throw in the towel?
My main thing that I keep saying is just trust the process. And it is, because you can't micromanage getting fitter and healthier quicker than it's going to happen. Like you just got to go with the process and just trust it. And on the days where I don't feel like I want to, I tell myself it's okay because tomorrow will be better. And I make sure that tomorrow, when I get up, I put my exercise clothes on and I jump straight into it. I don't allow myself multiple days where my mind is telling me, no, you're not good enough, you can't do this, it's not helping. And so I allow myself to, you know, like have a little cry every now and then, but then get back up again, which that's never been a natural thing for me. That was a learned behavior.
Amazing. Yeah, that takes time and time and time again, doesn't it? It's not just an overnight thing like, right, tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do. It's like, it's a process, and it's one thing to hear it on a podcast, but this is something you've been, you know, going through for months and years. And Engela was, just for those listening, I feel like you were at the end of the tether with, you know, not allowing yourself proper health and everything. You were ready for that change, you know.
Yeah.
You just needed to find the correct facilitation to be able to do that. And I think that was perfect. So if you're someone that's like, oh my goodness, like I just need, like, you just got to step into, find something that resonates with you and step into it and just do it. Like if you feel that pull, I feel like you just had that pull, you were ready, you just needed a couple of, you know, moves in the right direction and you were onto it. So you say to yourself, trust the process. And I heard you before saying, you know, these are just your old neural pathways that are, you know, it's just the old tracks. I like to use this metaphor of driving a full drive through the bush. Like, so if you know it's the best way to get somewhere and then you've got to go this other terrible route, but it's actually on a road, it's like this ridiculous direction in the wrong direction, but it's a perfect road and you can drive along and it's really easy, but it's actually in the wrong direction to where you're trying to go. But where you want to go is like that way, and you're like, that's through the bush. So there's no track there, or there's just a walking track there. Like, how the heck am I going to get through there? I've never done that before. Like, how do I go that way? Well, if you start going that way, you know, someone says, I promise, if you just start going that way, you'll do it. You know, it'll get easier and easier as you drive back and forth, and a road will appear and eventually you'll get down there. Like, I like using that metaphor for eventually that becomes a well-cleared road. And although it seems harder at the start, it's actually going to be better for you because you're actually going to get to where you want to go rather than going in the other direction.
And that's a skill I learned through Reset and those prompts, which if I skipped out on the prompts, that wouldn't have been a skill that I learned. And it's just like, I say that in my normal life now. I'm like, no, this is the old pathways. Stop that. And it's been so good. Like, I love it. It's so good.
It's amazing. It's like it gives you a level of control, really, knowing that.
100%.
Yeah, we'll finish up there. Thank you so much for everything. I would just love if you could leave a message for other mothers who feel like they're in the situation you felt, where they feel stuck, like you just aren't sure what to kind of do, but you're ready. What's your message for them?
Mothers are so close to my heart because I feel like, you know, like I've seen some shit as a mother myself, and it's hard, and people telling you, you know, it'll be okay. Like, how do you know? How do you know it's going to be okay? But yeah, I'm going to be that person that is going to tell you, like, it's going to be good. It's going to be so worth it. You're going to look back 6 months and thank that person for just taking that lead, for putting on those training shoes and going for an hour hike. It is honestly so worth it. Don't let anyone tell you it's easy, because it's not. But you are worth it, and your family is worth it. And the values that you're instilling in your children, knowingly or unknowingly, will be with them forever. And this will be their inner voices that they're going to have to deal with when they're 30. And you will thank yourself for not only changing your life, but you will literally change your children's lives for the better. And so just do it. Yeah, it's so worth it.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
It's been great. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me and my guest Engela in this episode of the Project WYLD podcast. If you're interested in taking part in the next reset, please follow the link provided below. As always, keep making good decisions, and we'll see you next time.